Speaking of CSI, though, they did a great... Did anybody see the parody show they did last spring? You notice even though CBS is CSI, or CSI is CBS, and CBS now is the franchise, you know, the TV rights of Star Trek are with CBS, they didn't want to, and they didn't think they ought to do just a Star Trek parody. So the whole thing was a murder at a convention. It was a little, you know, they never get it totally right. It's always a little stretched, but it was really cute. They had an 80s TV show, and a guy who was a fan came back and thought that the show was it's called Galaxy, not Galaxy Quest, Astro Quest. Astro Quest was the show. And he decided that it was too clean and pristine. And in the modern day, we needed to make it dirty, grittier, darker. You know, stop me if you've heard this before. So he did a fan film where he took the cast and had them, you know, darker, grittier, had horrible things happening. And the fans all around, they booed him. And of course, I told you Narain was a good friend of Ron Moore. Well, Narain wrote it. Dave Weddle and Brad Thompson were both DS9 writers who were working on CSI. The director, Michael Nankin, directed on Galactica a lot. There was one of their sets, there's some directing. This was their idea what a sci-fi convention looks like, and it's more like a trade show for balloonists or something. And there's good old Ron Moore back in the day. That's about 1993 with his Velvet Elvis painting, the art building on Star Trek. His good friend, though, Narain's good friend Ron, in a kind of a bit. If you saw the show, they had several cameo people from Galactica. Ron got one great moment. He was not an extra. He had a line written for Ronald D. Moore with all the flack that he took from the Galactica fans about how he reimagined Battlestar Galactica. They had the twist where he's the fan that yells at this other fan for reimagining their beloved show. So he got to stand out and scream, "You suck!" at this guy. It was a lot of fun. There they are filming with Ron on the stages. But Narain's not the only one. A lot of the Trek people have gone on, and I try to do videos. A lot of them help people promote their things if they needed it. But Jonathan's come back to LA, Frakes, and he's directing an awful lot of shows. This was a Leverage show on Leverage he did last year that had Brent and Armin both in it. Armin played a judge, and Brent played the bad guy. I think my favorite guilty pleasure these days, that has nothing to do with Star Trek except for the people, is Chuck. Anybody watch Chuck? Yeah. Anybody get on the campaign to make sure it came back? Yeah. Took your Subway sandwiches and stuff. Well, Robbie Duck McNeil, has been directing in the time since Voyager went off, building up his resume that way, and he's a producer on Chuck, and he directs about every fourth show. And did you see the 3D show they did last year that they promoted at the Super Bowl? Robbie got to direct that. So we did, if you go to my blog, we have a video on the set there, and we were kidding around, and he was doing the 3D glasses. We were laughing about that. But there's a lot of guys. Dave Trotty, the guy here in white, was a second assistant director on